Hey everybody, it's Emily. It's week 59, and we're talking about our expectations about when it came to testosterone. So basically, we wanted to touch on if we had a set of expectations before our partner started, if those were surpassed, were proven right, what happened with those expectations, those thoughts that we had before our partner started T. And I guess the biggest thing I want to talk about first is that this is my experience. These are my expectations that I had and not anybody else's. So I don't want anybody to view this as like a guidebook because it's not. This is my experience. But I think that we thought it might be helpful when we picked this topic to show different points of view, to show a more full experience. Because there's a lot of videos out there by guys that are on testosterone, but we wanted to talk about what the partner's fears were, what our fears were. Hence why this is called F to M Sweethearts. Sorry, self-explanatory. Alright, so other thing I want to talk about is the fact that I'm going to talk about my expectations as fears more than expectations, because that's what they were mostly. I had a lot of fears. I had a lot of feelings. I had too many feelings sometimes that I couldn't wrap my head around them. So I wanted to touch on the idea of fears instead of expectations. So, things that scared me before Chance started testosterone. There's only a couple things that I really was afraid of. So I'll start out by saying, I just realized I've said I'll start out by saying like 4 times, so I'm just gonna talk now. Sorry. I didn't join the Sweethearts group until quite a few months into our relationship because I didn't really know I needed any help or any guidance or anyone that's been there before, and I thought I could do it. And when the idea of starting testosterone came up, and Chance told me a lot of guys transition single because it's hard to do it with a partner, and that kind of shook me to my core. That kind of scared me. So I wanted to find a community of people that were going through exactly what I was going through. And that's when I found the Sweethearts group, because I don't have any friends that are, in real life or whatever, that are partners of trans men. I had one friend at the time. Well, we're still friends, but at the time that Chance first started talking about T, he was on testosterone, and I think he was a few months in, maybe a little bit longer, and we had hung out, and I didn't see any difference in his mood. So, I mean, there really wasn't any. So I didn't have anything to go off of just from that short encounter comparing him before T and him after T. But again, we were only out for we went to a concert, we were only out for a night, so I couldn't get a full encompassing of any mood changes that might have happened. So it was completely unknown, it was completely terrifying, and that's why I sought out community online. So that's why I ended up in the Sweethearts group, and that's where I discovered fear number 1. I did not know about the whole sex issue until I started looking around online, because it's not something I ever thought about. I had a lot of fears. It wasn't just, is he going to want it more? Because that was almost, we both have very high sex drives as it is, so we didn't have a problem in that department. Before T, my bigger fear was, is he going to want it, and am I not going to be able to satisfy him? Am I going to not be enough? And all my insecurities started piling up. And the other thing I didn't even know about was a lot of people are saying that their partners turned gay after T. That's a myth, I think, that needs to get dispelled. The bigger issue with men that come out as not heterosexual after testosterone is probably the fact that they weren't comfortable expressing it before. And now that they have more openly male attributes, they won't be read as a quote-unquote heterosexual couple, with them being the female part if they're in a relationship with a man. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think that's where a lot of the my partner turned gay after T came from, because I don't think that's actually the case. It's not magic juice, like it doesn't turn you into anything. I think it just elevates what's already there. Hence why you're more comfortable coming out of the closet if you see yourself as straight before and you start testosterone and you realize, oh wow, I need to have a conversation with myself, and you're not straight. Sorry, that's kind of a weird derision. I lost my page too. So the sexual part, I was just scared I was going to be inadequate. I was scared that this whole second puberty thing, I wasn't going to be able to keep up with. So that, honestly, we didn't have a huge issue with after he started T. The only issue was almost how we related to each other sexually. He became a little bit more grabby. And this is something that I brought up to him and he doesn't do anymore. After he started T, he would just grab me out of nowhere. Like my breast or my crotch or anything. He would just grab me. And it would startle me and it would throw me off. And it would make me a little bit uncomfortable. And when it hit the uncomfortable part is when I said something, and she just felt so bad that we had a long conversation about it, and he was like, I didn't even realize it. And I think part of it is all the hormones pumping through you. And, you know, you're like, ooh, boobs, and you reach. So it's not that he didn't have control, but I think that's the reason that that came up. There wasn't any kind of sexual inadequacy issues on my part. That was all my own insecurities creeping in on our relationship, which is basically just my life. It's just a big ball of insecurities. So we did work on that. His voice and his tone changed a little bit, but as Safia brought up, it's more of a tone change than how he's speaking changing. Tones are a little bit harsher. Tones are a little bit more clipped and shorter. And when you're like myself and you're really sensitive to what other people say, it can come off as being a dick. And it's not always like that. So part of it was the T, part of it was because Chance is Italian, so he's from Philly, so he has that, like, he just gesticulates a lot, and he's very loud and passionate, and he just gets right up in your face, and that got a little bit heightened after T, and it got to a point where it was almost, again, uncomfortable or a little bit unnerving, or would come off as rude. And it's not something that I don't think he ever meant to come off as rude. So what we're doing now, actually, currently, we're still working on, I mean, it's kind of always a working thing, is he's trying to work on his tone and certain words that he would use that would trigger me. He's trying to work on getting rid of those from his vocabulary, and he's trying to watch his tone when he speaks to me when it's like a hostile situation, when we're having a fight, so things don't escalate. A fight or a discussion, so things don't escalate needlessly. And that's actually worked really well. So if you're in that situation where you're afraid that, oh God, their whole self is going to change, it's most likely not. It's just that certain things about them are going to become heightened. So, like I said, he was already, Italian, super passionate. He just got more so. And you just kind of got to be like, all right, reel it back a little bit. Reel it back a little bit. The other thing I want to talk about is the idea of being an emotionless robot after you start tea, and the idea of mood swings and not being able to cry is a big one. I don't think I'm going to make any friends with this next statement, so I'm sorry if this pisses you off, but this is how I feel. I think the idea of tea making you unable to cry is a falsity. I think that males are socialized to think of crying to be equal to feminine. It's the idea that crying means you're showing emotion. Showing emotion means you're weak, and weak is always going to equal feminine in our society. So I think that's a lot of the aversion to crying. So it's not so much that tea isn't letting you cry, it's that you're not letting yourself cry after tea. I don't think there's actually anything in testosterone that inhibits your tear ducts. Like, I don't think that that's how it works. I think it's actually the fact that, you know, you're socialized to be a male from a young age, from a young age, men are socialized to act a certain way and to stuff down their emotions and not to show them. And that almost comes full circle when you start tea and, okay, well, I'm now, 100% male or whatever you want to say, and I have to stop crying now. So, yeah, that might have pissed some people off, but I don't care. Sorry. The idea of mood swings after testosterone it's not a myth. Mood swings happen. At least that's my experience, that mood swings do happen. One thing I noticed that I mentioned in another video is that Chance's patience has gone to absolutely almost nothing sometimes. He has little to no patience about certain things, and that might be caused by tea, but that's something that we also have learned to work around. I think that's all I wanted to cover when it came to my expectations and my fears. So mostly my fears were not being able to make it through the transition, because I was told that a lot of guys choose to transition while single because their partners can't handle it. And there's been times where I don't know if I could handle it, but we're still here and we're still together, and we've gone through some dark periods and come out the other side, and I'm happy to report that we're still going. So if anybody has any questions about my personal experience, because again, this is all my experience, I can't tell you what's going to happen to you, I can't tell you what's going to happen to your partner, but if you have any questions, you can definitely message us here through the YouTube message, John, and or you can find us on Facebook, the FTM Sweethearts page. Definitely free to add me as a friend or message me or anything like that if you need any help delving through the huge pile of fears that you may be living under, as I was. Alright guys, I will see you next week. It's week 60. Alright, bye.